Hello, in this video we will discuss about the ketogenesis. So the keto mean the keto sugar and genesis mean the production, the process in which the ketones body will produce. So the ketosis is the process in which alternative form of glucose produces in blood known as ketones. So the ketogenesis occur in diabetic person also, but the fasting also stimulate the ketosis more in the normal healthy person during the fasting, during the basically fasting state. So remember that ketogenesis can be healthy or unhealthy. If we are going to disease, for example, diabetic ketosis, ketogenesis, which that will be harmful. So the ketogenesis occur in diabetic person also, but fasting also stimulate the ketosis more, and ketogenesis will also cause ketoacids. So the ketoacidosis will cause, and this ketoacidosis is severe and life threatening. But in this case, let's begin to understand the biochemistry and the mechanism for the ketones body production. So this is the pancreas, liver, and this is the person contain liver, muscle, and pancreas, and blood vessel, and adipose tissue. So in this way, here is the blood glucose when drop. So after the drop the blood glucose level, in this way the the glucose can be entered into the liver and muscle, but when drop the glucose level, so the glucagon will produce from the pancreas. After the glucagon will bond with the glucagon receptor or epinephrine receptor, and in this way the gluconeogenesis will be occur and ketogenesis will be occur for the production of ketones body for alternative pathway of for the glucose. And on the other hand, the hypoglycemia means the low blood glucose level, which that will be also stimulate the adipose tissue for degradation of fats. So the glucagon when bind with the glucagon receptor in the adipose site to triacylglycerol will convert into the free fatty acid and glycerol in the presence of human sensitive lipase enzyme, and this fatty acid will go into the liver for production of ketone body for the alternative form of glucose, because ketone is the glucose, and the keto and aldehyde, aldo sugar and keto sugar is the type of sugar. So remember, so let's begin to understand from hepatocyte. This is the glucose and free fatty acid are present in the blood circulatory system, will move directly into the intracellular from extracellular, and glucose through symport transport through GLUT4 channel from sodium move inside with one glucose molecule inside move. So the glucose is also responsible for the, but in this case the glucose will not require because glucose is basically preserved, while the gluconeogenesis will be occur from the fatty acid, and the fatty acyl CoA synthase enzyme used to produce fatty acyl CoA, and the glucose will under the go the glycolysis will produce 2-pyruvate, and ATP and NADPH will produce. And this is the mitochondria contain outer membrane and inner membrane. This pyruvate can be entered into the mitochondria, and fatty acyl CoA also go inside. So in this way, let's begin to understand the inner and outer mitochondrial membrane and contain a enzyme. And in this way, here is the channel like enzyme are present. This is the outer membrane contains CPT1, carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1. This carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1, which that convert the fatty acyl CoA into the acyl carnitine, and this carnitine translocase enzyme used to acyl carnitine will move into the inner mitochondrial membrane, and in this way the carnitine palmitoyl transferase enzyme 2, which that is used for the move acyl carnitine into the inner mitochondrial matrix and dissociate the fatty acyl CoA as well as carnitine, and carnitine will move back again through carnitine acyl translocase enzyme with the carnitine. So remember, the carnitine acyl translocase is used for the acyl carnitine move inside. So this is the shuttle mechanism for carnitine move inside and outside. So in this way, the fatty acyl CoA under the beta oxidation of fatty acid will produce acetyl CoA. Number of acetyl CoA is limitless, and in this way, the acetyl CoA will go into the Krebs cycle to produce the tricarboxylic acid cycle to produce NADPH and FADH2, and also produce from beta oxidation. And in this way, here is the electron transport chain will produce ATP when the proton will pump out through FADH2 and NADH. So in this way, here you can see this is the when this beta oxidation will occur, and in this way the 2-acetyl CoA will be produced, and acetyl CoA is the intermediate molecule, and this 2-acetyl CoA, when CoA SH will be released, and in this way the acetoacetyl CoA will be produced. In this way, the 3 carbon containing molecule is known as acetoacetyl CoA, and HMG CoA synthase enzyme used to acetyl CoA will be bind, and acetyl CoA again addition to increase the carbon number. 5 carbon containing beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA through it is known as HMG CoA, and HMG CoA lyase enzyme used to produce acetyl CoA release. After the releasing of the acetyl CoA will produce the acetoacetate, and this acetoacetate in the dehydrogenase enzyme beta dehydrogenase beta hydroxy butyrate dehydrogenase enzyme used to produce one type of molecule which can be reversible. But when in the absence of enzyme, the decarboxylation will be occur to produce acetone, while here is the d beta hydroxybutyrate, that is the important ketone body will produce. This is the major, and in this way this is the ketone bodies. This is the biochemistry of the ketone production, the ketogenesis. So in this way, here is you can see when go into the blood circulatory system, so the ketone is a light molecule will breathe out, and we can sense their smell, fruity smell. So that means the ketone will be producing. And here is the muscle will use and prefer the ketone as compared to the glucose, because the glucose level into the blood circulatory system will be normal. So that is why when we will not eat or diabetic, so the ketones will be used. In this case, here is the heart and brain prefer ketones also during the hypoglycemia. So in this way the normal the glycemic level into the blood circulatory system, and ketonuria and dehydration if diabetic and loss of sugar is known as a glucoseuria. And in this way the glucoseuria will be produced, and we can check from ketometer or glucometer from the urine. So in this way, here is the increase of ketones is equal to decreased glucose catabolism. So in this way, when we will not eat sugar or we are going to diabetic person, so in this way the concentration is horizontal, and fasting or diabetic time show in this graph. So in this way the glucose catabolism will be decreased while the ketones body production will be increased. This is the alternative pathway, alternative form of glucose, So this alternative glucose like structure is the ketones, the keto sugar. So the diabetic ketones and non-diabetic ketones, we can distinguish between the two states. For example, diabetic ketones we will discuss first. So the diabetic ketones is fasting, eating, which that will be increased, even eating and fasting, glucoseuria will be increased, and in this way the muscle degradation to produce keto acid. This will lead to ketoacidosis, and this adipose tissue and breakdown of adipose tissue will be occur, and the ketoacidosis will be occur. while the non-diabetic ketones is the fasting long-term exercise, not after eating, will produce the ketones, but in the case of diabetic person, after eating also produce ketones, and only adipose tissue degradation first and long-term adaptation a homeostasis in physiology and ketoacidosis will be less as compared to the diabetic ketoacidosis. So in this way, here is the ketoacidosis mechanism. First, we will discuss. So the hyperketonemia means the increase the blood keto level. So in this way, here is the acetate, acetone, beta hydroxybutyrate, and acetoacetate. That is all type of ketone body. This will lead to and bind with a proton through hydrogenase enzyme will lead to produce acid, for example acetoacids, acetic acid and acetoacetic acid and beta hydroxybutyric acid, and this will lead to drop the pH. For normal function, for the balance of the pH, not drop or not up. So the carbon dioxide will bond with the water with the carbonic anhydrase will convert into the carbonic acid if the pH will be increased to drop this pH, and pH when decrease, so it will be increased through dissociation into the water and carbon dioxide again. So the symptom of acidosis we will discuss here. This is the tachycardia, irregular heartbeat, hypotension. The meaning of hypotension means the low blood pressure, nausea, vomiting, rapid deep breathing, fruity breath order due to the acetone, confusion, coma, even death. So this all thing is basically the function, and this is the ketogenesis. We had discussed about the ketogenesis biochemistry and their function and diabetic person. So thanks for watching.